Hey guys, it's Vivaru from Vivaru's Math Help, and today's video is all about finding the surface area of triangular prisms. So right here I just have some notes that you're going to need to be solving the surface area. So right here are the area formulas. The triangle is base times height divided by 2, which is the same thing as half times base times height. The area of finding the rectangle is length times width. And then the area of finding the square is the side squared, which is the same thing as side times side. Right here, I have some color coding that I'm just going to use while solving the problems. Blue equals triangle, red equals rectangle, and green equals square. Right here is just a really important note that just keep in mind while you're solving the problems. The formulas, or the way that you solve the problem, is always the same, even if you use decimals, fractions, or other things. And right up here are just some abbreviations that you can just use in the formulas. B equals base, H equals height, L equals length, W equals width, and S equals side. So up here are just some types of angles in the fraction: acute angles, right angles, and obtuse angles. Acute angles are always smaller than 90 degrees. Like for example, like a 45-degree angle is acute. Right angle is always 90 degrees, or else it wouldn't be a right angle. And an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. Like for example, like 110-degree angle is obtuse angle. And finally up here, it's just the net and the full shape. So now let's get into solving the problems. Right here at the top, you can see that I have an already labeled triangular prism, just then we didn't have to go through labeling it. Now, all we have to do is just find all the areas, add them together, and get our answer. So the first thing we're going to do is solve the area of this triangle, which are at the front and the back, which is basically just half times base times height, and the base here is 5, and the height is 7, so 5 times 7. And since all you need to do is find the area of all the separate shapes, and since there's two of the same triangles, then all you need to do is just times by 2 at the end. And technically, you can just skip those because halving it and then timesing it by 2 is basically the same thing. So you don't really need to show that, but I just like to do that to just show my steps and how I solved it. So all you need to do right here is just 5 times 7, which is 35. Now moving on to the rectangles. At the bottom here, we're just going to do this bottom one, which is just the length times the width, which is 8 times 5, which equals 40. And then on both of the sides, we have two of the exact same rectangles that are basically just 8 squared. So you can do 8 squared times 2, which equals basically just 64 times 2. And I always like to show a little corner of like where I can show my math. So that's 128. 128. And now all we need to do is just add those all up. So 35 plus 40 plus 128. And I kind of like to go down in steps like this. So 35 plus 40 is 75 plus 128. Over here we can just do that, but you can always use a calculator. You don't need to do it in your head. 13, 10, 203. So now, in rainbow, the surface area of this triangle is 203. And you can always just decide what units you want to use. I like to use centimeters squared. That is the answer. to this problem. Let's do one more. So this one I'm going to use decimals because, as I said in the important note, we can just get used to solving some problems that have decimals. So just quick draw up a triangular prism. Just pretend that this line is straight. So the base is going to be 5 again. The height, though, is actually going to be a decimal, which is going to be 6.5 or 6.5. Then these two sides are going to be 7, and then these are going to be 6, and then 7. I'm pretty sure that's all the labeling we need. And if you want to, you can use these little like hash marks to show like which ones are equal. And you could do it in different colors and stuff, just in case you don't want to write out all the different things. You can just write one number and then do the little hash marks. So first, the area of the triangle, which is half times the base, which is 5, times 6.5 times 2, which is basically the same thing as just 5 times 6.5. So over here, you can do 6.5, 25, 32. So that equals 32.5, if I did my math correctly. Now the rectangles, one of them is 6 times 7, which is also the exact same as another one, so you can just times that by 2. 6 times 7 is 42, and 42 plus 42 is 84. And then finally the bottom one is just 5 times 6, which is 30. Now, add these all up. 32 half plus 84 plus 30. So first I'm going to do these two. So 32.5 plus 84, and which is basically the same thing as 84.0, equals 116.5 plus 30. Can do this. Plus 30 equals 146.5. So surface area of this triangular prism is 146.5. I'm going to do meters. That's a really weird squared. Bam. So now that we're done doing that, I'm going to show you how to draw the nets and the actual shape. So first, to draw the actual shape, all you need to do is just triangle, add two like a little bit diagonal lines going right of it or left of it if you want. Connect those two lines, and then that's basically just how you draw the outside. But if you want to make it look transparent, which is basically what you might have to do to solve some of these, you just make this diagonal line right here into a triangle that looks almost the same as the first one, and finally just connect the two sides, and there you have it. And since I just like to make it look transparent, I color in the little black. So that's how you draw the triangular prism. Now to draw the net, it's a little different. So there's many ways you can draw it, but I like to draw it the simpler way. So basically just draw a long rectangle like that. And then I like to make maybe two that are the same and then one that's a little different, like that. And then, so that there's like 3 squares or rectangles in a row. And then basically in the middle one, you just draw a triangle coming off of it. And then when you imagine it fold up, you would fold up the squares or the triangles and then just basically wrap the other one around. So in my case, I would fold up the triangles and then just put the squares also up. And that's how you draw the net. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe and leave a like to this video and my channel. I hope that this helped you guys learn how to solve the surface area of a triangular prism. See you guys next time. Bye.